I can fix that for you if you'll let me. If your ego is not too precious, then all I'm doing is making your movie better.
When he was sending me Django, he actually didn't want to tell me that I wasn't going to be Django. Lawrence Fishburne, and I was not in a commercial, and I'm not that other black guy who's in that commercial, or I'm not the black guy who's in this other commercial.
At 76, Samuel L. Jackson has had enough. After decades of keeping quiet about the shady side of Hollywood, he's finally speaking out. The man who's seen it all, fake smiles, secret feuds, and sneaky co-stars, just dropped a bombshell. Jackson isn't holding back this time, calling out the two-faced energy that's been circling him for years. He's naming names and spilling the truth about the 5 actors he absolutely can't stand. The industry won't know what hit it after this revelation.
I can conjugate, and a lot of people can. So I don't need you to write black vernacular for me. I can say what you want said, but you need to say it this way.
Fans always knew something was off. The tension in interviews, those sharp side eyes, and the sneaky little jabs that said it all. But now, the gloves are officially off. From shady on-set drama to full-blown career sabotage, Samuel isn't just tossing shade. He's lighting the whole scene up. He's calling out the people who tried to play him, and trust me, the names will shock you. Nobody expected these big stars to end up on his list. It's about to get real messy.
I grew up in the segregated South. When folks start talking about, how you feel about it? Heard it all my life. Okay, now what? Do you think he has a right to? He's a writer. He has a right to write anything he wants to write. I don't censor people.
Hollywood's feeling the heat right now. Things just got real uncomfortable. Let's break it down. At 76 years old, after dominating the screen for over 5 decades and stacking up more than $27 billion at the global box office, Samuel L. Jackson isn't just a Hollywood legend. He's a powerhouse. This man built his legacy with grit, talent, and a memory sharper than a blade. And at this point in his life, he's done pretending to smile for fake friends. His voice, instantly recognizable. His eyes, they cut straight through the lies, the politics, and the sweet talk of the industry. He's seeing everyone exactly as they are, and he's not holding back anymore.
He gonna stay in the big house? Steve, he's a slaver. It's different.
This time, it hits different. We're going way past the Marvel paychecks and those legendary purple lightsabers. Today, we're peeling back the curtain on the real Samuel L. Jackson, the one Hollywood doesn't like to talk about. The man who refused to be controlled, rewrote the rules, and made his own lane. No permission needed. Think you know Samuel L. Jackson? Think again. This is the man who told Steven Spielberg no, twice. Can you believe that? And when George Lucas tried to keep things traditional, Jackson pushed back hard, demanding Star Wars be changed to fit his vision. And he got it. But the boldness didn't stop there. When Marvel tried to play games and offer him less than he deserved, he hit them with a power move. Double my paycheck or forget Nick Fury. And guess what? They paid up. That's not arrogance. That's knowing your worth. And topping his list of people he's called out, none other than Spike Lee. The feud Hollywood whispered about but never dared to discuss out loud. These two were once unstoppable, two of the most powerful black voices in American cinema, a duo that defined an era of storytelling. But somewhere along the way, things turned bitter, personal, and ugly. When Samuel recently dropped his list of actors he can't stand, fans were floored to see Spike's name at the top. Why? Because this wasn't about ego or attitude. This was deep. A story of betrayal, pride, and power that brewed for decades while Hollywood tried to act like nothing was wrong. But now the truth's out, and it's louder than ever.
You guys known each other?
Wow, since 80, wow. I was doing Soldier's Play when I met Spike. So maybe 84, 5.
Enjoying the video so far? Smash that like button and subscribe to Fame Drop so you're here for the next one. Spike Lee wasn't just a director, he was a movement. His films shook culture, and right at the center of that storm was a young, hungry Samuel L. Jackson. Spike spotted the fire in him early, handing him his first big breaks. First in School Days, 1988. Then the unforgettable Do the Right Thing, 1989, where Jackson's radio DJ, Mr. Senor Love Daddy, became an instant icon. Those roles didn't just open doors, they blew them off the hinges. The pair kept the magic going with Mo Better Blues and Jungle Fever, where Jackson's raw, haunting performance as Gator, the crack-addicted brother, hit like nothing audiences had seen before. It was so powerful, so real, that the Cannes Film Festival literally created a special award just to honor him. the Best Supporting Actor prize, which hadn't existed for over a decade and hasn't been repeated since. That's how next-level Samuel was operating back then. To fans, the Spike-Sam bond looked unbreakable, a creative duo destined for legend status. People saw them as the next Scorsese and De Niro, but louder, bolder, and unapologetically black. Their chemistry felt electric, unstoppable, like they were rewriting Hollywood's playbook in real time.
First of all, Spike, so glad you're sitting down. After 18 consecutive home losses, the Knicks won tonight. I repeat, the Knicks won tonight.
I repeat, the Knicks won tonight, but just like that victory, what Spike and Sam built started to crumble just as fast. Everything changed in 1992, when Spike Lee began working on what he believed would be his masterpiece, Malcolm X, the epic story of the legendary civil rights leader. Naturally, Spike wanted Samuel L. Jackson to be a part of it. After all, they'd made movie magic before. He reached out personally, asking Sam to audition for Baines, the key character who guides Malcolm toward Islam while in prison, a role packed with emotion and power. Jackson showed up, gave it his all, and absolutely delivered in that audition. The offer came through, he had the part, and then, nothing, just silence. No callbacks, no shooting schedule, no word from Spike. That's when the cracks in their friendship started to show, and Hollywood began to whisper.
Samuel L. Jackson, where are you? 152 movie titles, 27 billion in box office, more than any other actor.
He moved slow. He was a very mysterious character, but then you have to recreate him because he's not that old bounty hunter yet. He's this little infamous boy who has a father that he's following around in the galaxy.
Instead of a confirmation, Spike got a call that hit him like a punch from Samuel's agent. The message? Jackson was turning the role down. Why? Simple. Money. Spike had offered him scale plus 10, the absolute lowest rate allowed by the Screen Actors Guild, with an extra 10% for the agent. For a man who had just set Cannes on fire, that offer felt like a straight-up insult, so Sam said no, flat out. Spike didn't take it well. He wasn't just disappointed, he was hurt. What bothered me was not that he didn't want to do the film, Spike later said, but that he had his agent call me. To Spike, it wasn't about business, it was about respect. He thought their bond meant Sam would call him personally, man to man. But from Jackson's point of view, that bond was starting to feel more like an expectation of blind loyalty. Years later, when he talked about the fallout, he didn't hold back. It wasn't the most pleasant conversation, Jackson admitted. He said what he had to say, and I kind of laughed at it. What really ticked Sam off was Spike's tone. It felt like Spike expected gratitude, as if Sam owed him something for those early breaks. Jackson made it crystal clear. Spike didn't make him. They built each other up, both feeding off each other's talent and ambition. And if anyone should have been recognizing someone's value, Sam believed it was Spike who should have appreciated just how much he brought to those films. The friendship cracked, and from that moment on, nothing was the same again.
Samuel, apparently you have recently lost your title as the highest grossing actor of all time.
Yeah, I've been displaced.
By
Harrison Ford, again. I displaced him, he displaced me, but hey, it's only 70 mil.
Then Jackson really snapped. He didn't hold back, calling out what he saw as pure hypocrisy. He pointed straight at Spike, saying he was pulling 4 paychecks from Malcolm X, director, writer, producer, and actor, while expecting everyone else to work for scraps. You want to pay me scale while collecting 4 salaries? Hell no, Sam fired back. Matter of fact, let me play your role and make some real money while I'm at it. That kind of brutal honesty didn't land well, especially in Spike's circle. But Sam wasn't finished. He made it clear he'd earned his place in Hollywood, and if Spike couldn't pay him fairly, or at least offer a back-end deal, then there was no reason to stick around. He wasn't a broke stage actor hustling for exposure anymore. His name was finally getting buzz, and big studios were calling. And right in the middle of the Malcolm X mess, Jackson's agent hit him with some news that changed everything. You just won an award at Cannes. Sam was stunned. For what? Jungle Fever. They made up a category just for you. That was it. Hollywood came knocking. He took a bold leap, signing on for White Sands, a gritty thriller alongside Willem Dafoe and Mickey Rourke. Instead of chasing Spike's passion project, he chased his own future. And that choice split their careers apart for 22 years. For over 2 decades, there was silence. No roles together, no shout-outs, no collaboration of any kind. Jackson went on to work with everyone. Tarantino, Scorsese, Marvel, but never Spike. And when Spike later called out Quentin Tarantino for using the N-word in Django Unchained, Sam didn't hesitate to clap back. He publicly defended Tarantino and hit Spike with a sharp one-liner. "It's just another way of saying Spike needs to shut the F up." That quote spread like wildfire. The feud was no longer behind closed doors. It was loud, public, and impossible to ignore. People in Hollywood started picking sides. Some blamed Spike's ego, saying he couldn't handle anyone questioning his authority. Others said Jackson was too proud, too unwilling to play the game. But deep down, the real issue was control. Spike wanted loyalty. Samuel wanted freedom. Both had huge personalities, both were used to being in charge, and neither was about to back down. And here's the irony. Jungle Fever, the same movie that made Cannes go crazy, was also the one that saved Samuel L. Jackson's life. He had just come out of rehab before filming that role. He was detoxing, barely functioning, but he showed up and gave the performance of a lifetime. It was so raw, so believable, people on set thought he was actually using. "I didn't need makeup. I was Gator," Sam later said. The performance was so intense that members of the Fruit of Islam tried to kick him off the set, thinking he was a real addict who had wandered in. That film changed everything, but that's also what made the fallout cut so deep. Because the man who helped give him that life-changing opportunity was now the same man trying to pay him like a nobody. It wasn't just about the paycheck, it was about respect. Fast forward to 2013. After 22 years of ice-cold silence, the two finally reconnected. Their wives had started talking again, and slowly, the wall between them began to crumble. They started having dinners, catching up like old times. "We hadn't worked together since Jungle Fever," Sam said later. "It was a wonderful reunion." At one of those dinners, Spike mentioned he was remaking Old Boy. Sam's eyes lit up. "Can I be in it?" he asked. And just like that, the two were back on set together. Jackson later said it felt natural, easy, like the old spark had returned. "He doesn't get in my way artistically," Sam told Playboy. "Whatever I come with, and it's cool." But let's be real, a few polite dinners and one underwhelming movie weren't enough to erase 2 decades of tension. So when Samuel L. Jackson finally decided to drop his infamous list of 5 actors he hates the most, people knew Spike Lee's name would be on it. And sure enough, it was sitting right at number 1. But this wasn't about revenge. It was about closure. Sam wanted the truth out there, once and for all. Because no matter how many awards they've both collected, no matter how legendary their early collaborations were, this feud was never about the films. It was about respect, and who refused to give it. On paper, Quentin Tarantino and Samuel L. Jackson might look like the perfect Hollywood match. 6 collaborations, decades of loyalty, and some of the most iconic movie moments ever filmed. But as we've seen time and time again in Tinseltown, even loyalty has its limits, especially when massive egos collide.
He has enough problem being vilified himself as a racist because he uses in his scripts that much, or puts those kinds of words in a character's mouth.
When Quentin Tarantino took a swipe at Marvel during a podcast, the fallout was instant. He claimed that Marvel actors aren't real movie stars, just placeholders for the franchise name. A bold statement that sent shockwaves through Hollywood. And for Samuel L. Jackson, the man who's worn the eye patch of Nick Fury for nearly 2 decades, that jab hit deep. Sam didn't stay quiet, not for a second. He fired back live on The View, saying with total conviction, "Chadwick Boseman is Black Panther. You can't refute that. And he's a movie star." Boom. The subtext was loud and clear. You don't get to erase what we've built just because you don't like capes and CGI. This wasn't some casual difference of opinion. It was a philosophical war. For Tarantino, cinema has always been sacred, an art form meant to be worshipped, not franchised. But for Jackson, movies are about impact, about reaching people, about changing the culture. He's never needed awards or critics to tell him his worth. He made it plain. He'd rather hold a lightsaber or wear an eye patch than chase an Oscar. That kind of confidence, it drives Tarantino crazy. But the biggest shift, Jackson doesn't bow to Tarantino anymore. The power dynamic flipped completely. The actor who once gave life to Tarantino's words, who helped turn his scripts into cinematic gold, is now calling out his arrogance head on. He's not just rejecting Tarantino's take on Marvel, he's rejecting the idea that any one director gets to decide what real cinema means. Tarantino might have helped Jackson rise from a standout character actor to a true icon, but he also tried to box him in. And Samuel L. Jackson does not do boxes. The bromance that once fueled Hollywood's coolest collabs is fractured now, the creative spark slowly fading. And in a town overflowing with fake smiles and secret feuds, Jackson just made it clear, he's done pretending. He's putting Quentin on notice. But Tarantino isn't the only one who's felt the sting of Sam's truth bombs. The next tension brewing? None other than Lawrence Fishburne. And this one cuts even deeper. Because if you ask Jackson what really ignited that long simmering tension, it's not about one role or one moment. It's about respect. Samuel L. Jackson doesn't forget when someone steps on his shine. Not ever. Let's rewind to where it all started. Pulp Fiction, 1994. The cult classic that turned Jackson from a respected actor into a full-blown household name. His performance as Jules Winfield, with that chilling Ezekiel 25:17 monologue and soul-piercing stare, didn't just define a generation of cool, it rewrote what an actor could do with words. That moment made history, and it's also where the next storm in Jackson's Hollywood story begins.
Is not a fool of any sort and understands a whole lot about what's going on in life and in the world.
Here's the twist most fans never knew. That legendary Pulp Fiction role, the one that made Samuel L. Jackson a household name, was originally offered to Lawrence Fishburne, and he turned it down. But what happened after? That's where things got messy. Years later, during a casual chat with Jameli Hill, Fishburne casually dropped a bomb that left people stunned. He said, "I turned down Pulp Fiction. I don't regret that at all. That's the role that made Sam Jackson a star, and I contributed to that. I stayed out the way." Wait, contributed? Stayed out the way? To Samuel L. Jackson, that didn't sound like humility. That sounded like straight up ego. Because let's be real, it's one thing to pass on a role, but it's another to act like you created someone's career by doing it. That kind of comment? Oh, it didn't sit right with Sam at all. For a man who fought tooth and nail for every bit of success, the idea that his breakout moment was some kind of hand-me-down favor was pure Hollywood arrogance. And of course, things didn't stop there. In what became one of the most awkward and viral moments in entertainment history, Samuel L. Jackson snapped. Live on air. During an interview, a reporter made the ultimate mistake. He confused Jackson with, you guessed it, Lawrence Fishburne. Sam didn't let that slide for a second. He shut it down instantly, saying, "I'm not Lawrence Fishburne. We don't all look alike. We may be all black and famous, but we all don't look alike." The clip exploded online. Fans were screaming, reporters were mortified, and Hollywood was reminded of one thing: never confuse Samuel L. Jackson with anyone.
Yes, you did. Yes, you did, Brett.
That moment was raw, real, and packed with years of pent-up frustration. You could feel it. The kind of emotion that comes from biting your tongue for way too long. Beneath the sarcasm and the sharp comebacks, something deeper was boiling inside Jackson. He was done being mistaken for someone who, in his eyes, had subtly disrespected him while pretending to give him props. The line that really hit a nerve? When Fishburne said, "I contributed to that." To Jackson, that wasn't praise. It was a backhanded slap dressed up as a compliment. It reeked of Hollywood elitism, like Sam was supposed to be grateful for leftovers. That attitude, that quiet arrogance, cut deep. It was as if Fishburne was saying, "You only got that role because I passed." And for Jackson, a man who earned every inch of his success, that was the ultimate insult.
You're as crazy as the people on Twitter.
Right.
I'm not Lawrence Fishburne.
That's my fault. I know that. That was my fault.
The irony in all this? Lawrence Fishburne didn't even like Tarantino's script. He said parts of it rubbed him the wrong way. But the second Pulp Fiction blew up and Samuel L. Jackson's career skyrocketed. Suddenly, Fishburne started sounding proud of his contribution. Proud by omission. It was like he wanted credit for a masterpiece he walked away from. Behind the scenes, insiders have said the two men have never talked it out. No phone calls, no clearing the air, nothing. For decades, it's been a Cold War made of subtle digs, sideways comments, and icy tension at red carpet events. You can see it in interviews. The shade is quiet but sharp, like two people smiling through gritted teeth. And let's be honest, if someone rejects the role that defines your career, then turns around and claims partial credit for your success while the public still mixes you up with them, that's not just disrespect, that's personal. And knowing how Samuel L. Jackson operates, that kind of move earns you a permanent spot on his can't stand list. But then came a whole new chapter, and a galaxy far, far away. You'd think being handpicked by George Lucas to join the Star Wars universe would be every actor's dream come true, and for a while, it absolutely was. Jackson's Mace Windu became one of the most unforgettable Jedi Masters in Star Wars history. The purple lightsaber, his idea, the authority, the swagger, the unforgettable one-liners, all Samuel. He took what could have been just another background Jedi in a brown robe and turned it into a cultural icon. Mace Windu wasn't just another Jedi. He was the Jedi who stole the show, proving once again that when Samuel L. Jackson steps into a role, he doesn't just play it, he owns it.
No, I turned down Pulp Fiction.
For which role? The Sam Jackson one?
Of course.
But behind those glowing lightsabers and the jaw-dropping fight scenes, there was tension, serious tension. Turns out, Samuel L. Jackson wasn't George Lucas's first pick to play a Jedi. Not even close. In fact, Jackson didn't expect to be cast at all. He just wanted in, any way he could. He even joked that he'd be happy playing a stormtrooper, helmet on and all. That's how low his expectations were. And then, almost casually, Lucas offered him a role, one that would evolve into the legendary Mace Windu. Sounds like a wholesome Hollywood moment, right? But it wasn't that simple. Behind the smiles and press tours, there was quiet tension brewing over how it all came together. Because Samuel knew he didn't just get lucky. He earned his spot in that galaxy far, far away.
In the name of the Galactic Senate of the Republic, you're under arrest.
Fast forward to Revenge of the Sith, and that's when the drama started bubbling behind the scenes. A young actor named Daniel Logan, who played Boba Fett, dropped a bomb years later. Originally, Mace Windu was supposed to die at the hands of Boba, not Palpatine. It was meant to be a full-circle revenge arc, Jango Fett's son avenging his father by taking out the Jedi who killed him. It was in the storyboards, discussed in meetings, totally planned out. But apparently, Samuel L. Jackson wasn't having it. According to Logan, Jackson personally went to George Lucas and said, "I don't think some punk kid should be able to take down a Jedi Council member." Punk kid, that's the phrase he allegedly used. And just like that, the entire sequence was scrapped. Logan was left hanging. No call, no explanation, nothing. He waited nearly a year thinking he'd be brought back for reshoots or story updates, but the phone never rang. Instead, he got iced out completely. That one creative decision didn't just change the movie. It derailed what could have been a huge career moment for him. What started as a dream gig in Star Wars turned into a Hollywood heartbreak, and the whispers about Samuel's influence only made it sting more.
I was writing episode 1, said, well, I don't know, what I could do, but I heard you like my films. I'm like, look, man, put me in one of those white suits and let me run across screen.
Let's be real. Star Wars has brought back Darth Maul after he was literally cut in half. But somehow, Boba Fett avenging his father canceled. Why? Because Samuel L. Jackson didn't want his Jedi, Mace Windu, going out like that. Some fans call it ego. Others say he was just protecting the image of a powerful Jedi Master. But either way, that decision changed careers. It cost Daniel Logan his breakout moment and maybe his shot at a long-term future in live-action films. Here's the kicker. Jackson never addressed it. Not once. No apology, no public acknowledgement, just silence. Meanwhile, Logan's still out here at fan conventions telling the story, hinting that his career was derailed by Jackson's behind-the-scenes power move. One man's legacy protected, another's completely derailed. Classic Hollywood. So when people ask why Jackson put George Lucas on his infamous list, it wasn't about lightsabers or roles. It was about power, about how decisions get made behind closed doors with no accountability, no fairness, and one man deciding he's too big to lose. And trust me, if you think that's messy, buckle up, because the next name on his list, it's explosive. When two Hollywood giants, both legends, both icons, managed to go over 3 decades without ever sharing the screen, that's not an accident, that's by design. We're talking about Samuel L. Jackson and Denzel Washington, two of the most respected, bankable actors alive. Publicly, they show mutual respect, but privately, they've been quiet rivals for years. Both are among the few black actors in history to consistently headline films that gross over $100 million at the box office. But back in 2001, their low-key rivalry hit a turning point, the casting of Training Day. Jackson had his eyes on the role of Alonzo Harris, the complex crooked cop at the center of the story. But when the smoke cleared, it was Denzel who landed it, and his performance won him his second Oscar. That win made one thing crystal clear. When it comes to serious dramatic roles, Denzel Washington still wears the crown. Jackson didn't fight it. Instead, he pivoted. And that move changed Hollywood forever. While Denzel built his empire through dramatic, prestige-driven roles, Jackson went full force into the blockbuster arena, a territory Denzel rarely touches. By embracing Marvel, Star Wars, and other massive franchises, Samuel L. Jackson became the highest-grossing actor in movie history, with his films earning over $27 billion worldwide. He didn't chase Oscars, he built an empire. Every move was calculated. Every role, from Nick Fury to Mace Windu, turned into pop culture gold. He played the long game and won big. Now let's break it down. Denzel Washington and Samuel L. Jackson represent two completely different kinds of greatness. Denzel built his career on pure craft, the type of acting that makes audiences forget they're even watching Denzel. He's an actor's actor, a perfectionist. He even created his own production company, Mundy Lane Entertainment, to control the stories he wanted to tell. Jackson, on the other hand, mastered the power of persona. He didn't try to disappear into his roles. He made every role his. He turned charisma into currency and transformed characters like Nick Fury into cultural icons. His business savvy, like negotiating one of the most actor-friendly contracts in Marvel history, proved that big-budget franchises could be both creative and incredibly profitable. So if Denzel represents the purity of the craft, Samuel represents the power of the brand. Two kings, two paths, both rewriting the rules of the game in their own ways. Here's the uncomfortable truth though. Studios don't see pairing Denzel and Sam as a dream team. To them, it's a nightmare. Not because of ego, but because their worlds just don't fit together. Denzel avoids green screens, massive CGI, and comic book style storytelling. Jackson thrives in it. Meanwhile, Sam doesn't chase the award-season dramas that Denzel dominates. Their instincts, their audiences, their whole creative DNA. They're different by design. They're not enemies. They're not even rivals in the traditional sense. They're two masters, each ruling his own empire, and both smart enough to stay in their lanes, because merging those worlds, that would break the system that's made them both legends. So there it is. Samuel L. Jackson isn't just dropping names, he's dropping bombs. After years of industry politics, fake smiles, and backroom betrayals, he's finally speaking his truth. Loud, raw, and unfiltered. Hollywood might not like it, but Jackson doesn't care. He's too busy rewriting the rules, one name at a time.